Okay, welcome everyone. This is going to be the haunted tree video, and I just picked a log, and this is a walnut log. We're going to draw a quick little face on it, and we'll try to get a haunted tree out of this. Since I wanted to do a giant one, but that's not happening this week, but this will work. So I got my battery-powered steel, and got a lumber crayon, and I'm just going to, right over the bark, I'm going to draw a simple little face. Think Halloween pumpkins, jack-o'-lantern type face. All right. You can make any face you want, but I'm just doing something simple for video purposes, but we can make them look cool. All right, make sure you give them some teeth and a big mouth. Cover pretty much the entire log. Okay. Now I'm just going to take the saw. I'm going to start cutting right through the bark, and then I'll clean the bark off with the tip of my saw. You can peel the bark if you like, but for this video, I'm just kind of carve right through the bark. It's pretty tight on this little log, so I did the eyes here, and I'm just going to shave them down. And through the whole process, I'm constantly shaving, so be a little patient. I think you'll like the end result when it's all done. But just cleaning the whole log off after I make my cuts. And then I shave the bark down and leave some on. Little simple nose I'm making for this, that's all. Shaving the bark. I like to leave some of the bark on for effect. Simple little mouth. Make sure you give them some fangs. And you'll notice that through the whole process here, as I'm carving with the saw, whenever I'm cleaning bark, like here around the fangs, if I take the bark off, I constantly readjust the teeth and make sure that I'm not losing them as I go. Like right here, as I'm taking the bark down, all right. I always make sure to leave those teeth sticking up. Make sure you get in the corners of the mouth pretty good. And the deeper you take it down, the better. But you don't have to go too deep, because we are going to paint him. Okay. Sit on the outsides of the teeth. Make sure you cut a little bit deeper. And always make sure not to cut your teeth off, like right in here when you're getting close to them. That's why I say keep recarving those teeth with the tip of the saw and then shave to them. And make sure you got a nice little chunk of wood to shape as a tooth, when you're all done cleaning the mouth out here. Like right here, I take the bark off the teeth, but then I'll make sure I recut the tooth just a little bit. Make sure I don't lose any of it. Most of this video will be in time lapse. Hope you don't mind, but it would be hours and hours long. Coming down the sides here, and then shaving into that cut. I could put a lot of hair there too, if I choose to, but that kind of frames the face a little better. Okay. So we're going to take some more of the bark off, and then I always make sure to keep redefining the simple lines too. Like around the eyes here, if I shave bark off and I lose my line, I just recut the eye. And again, cleaning the mouth, getting it a little deeper. You can leave as much bark on as you want and change the face as much as you like. It's a very simple face. Okay, it doesn't take much. Now I'm going to sand her a little bit after I finish the chin here. And if you want the mouth deeper, like I said, you can just keep digging it out. 2 little slots for nostrils on the side of the nose. Like I said, he's very crude. Doesn't have to be fancy. Now, you can make these as fancy as you want. That's the beauty of these things. Again, making sure those teeth are still there. Okay, now we're sanded all down. I can define those teeth. even better with the finger sander here. And make sure everything's smooth before we put more details on. Trying to shape the teeth a little bit, get in the sides. Probably going to paint the mouth, I guess, and the eyes in this one for video purposes. Sometimes I just like the carved look. And any tools that I use, I'll give you a link in the description. This right here is the Kutzel burr. This is the flame-shaped burr, 1/8 shank. I put it right in the flex shaft of the Dremel. And just enough to clean up the teeth, go around them, make sure I still have them there. Touch up any spots that you want. Okay, now we're going to draw a little bit more of the eyes in. Now I could do these with the chainsaw. Usually I do. But if you're not as confident to do the eyes with the chainsaw, I'll show you a nice, quick, easy way. I'm just going to draw circles for pupils too. And I'm going to get the cone-shaped bit in the Dremel, and we'll carve these out. Just that way we can get under the mouth and refine the teeth a little more. So this is the cone-shaped bit for the Dremel. And it'll carve in pretty good. This is walnut. This is kind of tough. You'll see it smoking and everything, but that's okay, because that's what I really use this bit for, like to burn as I carve, and it deepens the lines around the carved part. So if you don't have a cone-shaped bit for your Dremel, they're pretty cheap. I'll put a link in the description for that also, if you want to pick one up. Or you just go to any hardware store, and you should be able to find them in the Dremel section. So just outline your lines that you already drew. Dig in pretty good, let it smoke, let it burn. And also round off things with the sides of the bit. I like to use it for underneath the teeth and to go around the teeth and really make them stand out, especially before painting. You can go down the sides of the mouth with it, dig in a little bit more. It's a great little bit. I use it a lot, as you start to see in these videos when I'm explaining the tools I use. I like to give the carving a good once over. You can also use it for detailing here. I'm actually putting some wrinkles under his eyes, and you can do little bags and stuff. Now, honestly, I think the chainsaw works better for this, but I'm using this tool. It's in my hand right now, so it's pretty much what I'm doing at the time instead of picking up the chainsaw again, because they will be deeper with the chainsaw and really stand out, but this will work. And I'll clean up and get some more bark off if I like. That's all personal preference, how much bark you want on them and stuff like that. Okay, we'll get the finger sander out again and just kind of clean them up. Still shaping, still getting some of the chainsaw oil off and whatever bark is left over. Maybe some burn marks and dirty spots that I don't like on the carving. And the smoother I can get it in spots, since I'm painting, the eyes and mouth and everything, the better. Okay, what I did before sanding here again was I got the torch and I burned the entire face and around the eyes and everything. That way if there's any fuzzies and the wood's wet, it dries it out, right? Gets the fuzzies off, and then I'll sand it off again. And it gives a little bit of shadow and stuff in some of the carved areas that the sander won't get off. And it gives me one more chance to redefine the teeth again and make sure everything's copacetic. Okay, here we go with paint. I'm going to paint those eyes with an acrylic black. I'm just going to go over top of everything, pupil included, okay, and get the eye shape that I want. And that's just a acrylic black that I got at the craft store, okay. It's a gloss black. Looks kind of sinister already, doesn't he? It's really not much of a fancy carving. It's just the way you do the face that really makes it pop once we add arms to them. And while that's painting, what I'm going to do is grab this is a 2-inch slab that I had laying around. But the wood's still good on it underneath. It's a little dirty and crappy, actually. But what I'm going to do is just make some quick hands to cut out, because we're going to give this guy arms and some scary fingers. Nothing real fancy. Okay, but while the paint's drying, I'm going to cut this out with the chainsaw. Very simple fingers I make for these guys, or you can get as fancy as you want. But I'm really not going too crazy as far as making realistic hands or anything. Actually, it looks kind of better and it matches the carving if I make them simple. And again, this is a 2-inch thick slab. I believe it's pine. And I'll shape that hand up and trim the corners off, round it off. We'll clean it up with the sander then also, right? And just shape it up until I have a hand and an arm that we can stick on the sides of our carving. And I'll show you how to mount them once I got both of these done. Okay, I sanded them down after I shaped them. They're going to go here. Ah, that looks pretty good. Yeah, he'll look pretty awesome. I like them already. All right. To install the arms, what I do is I put the arm up about where I want it, and then I'll draw around it. And I'm just going to get the chainsaw and cut about 1.5 inch, 2-inch deep hole or socket, right? Usually square shaped. And what I'll do is I'll insert the arms in there. Biggest thing when you're doing this is to make sure you get them even on both sides. And after I make a couple of slots, I just dig it out with the chainsaw. Then we'll put our arm in there. We'll get a couple of screws. Make sure the arm fits in there. If you have to, shave it down a little more to get it to fit. Then put a couple of screws in to secure it. Yeah, looks about right. We'll even this side up. Draw our lines. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. Let's see what we got. Oh yeah, raw. I like them. Don't worry about these holes here on the sides, because we're going to do something with that later. Okay. All right. Now you take your chainsaw, or you can take a Dremel with any tool of your choosing. All right, and we're just going to texture those arms. I sanded them down after I shaped them, so they look a little too smooth for me. And I want him to have, you know, kind of a tree bark effect. So I'm just kind of making lines all the way around the arm. And now get the torch. And we'll burn that up and try and get it to match, you know, the bark a little bit. That way his arms aren't pure white like that, and they look more like their bark. Because remember, he's a tree. Okay, we'll do that on the other side, and let's see what we got. Oh, it looks pretty good. All right. What I did with those holes is I took some grass. You could take straw or hay and stuff them in those holes. A lot of times I hot glue it so it stays in. Kind of looks like he has armpit hair also, which is kind of cool. Now I'm just taking more black paint, and I'm adding a little extra paint around the carved lines. You can use your imagination and paint him any way you want. Just kind of cleaning up the eyes. And I put yellow circles in the center. And right here, I'm taking some acrylic white, and I'll just do the teeth up. I actually like just the carved look, but I might as well paint the teeth white while I'm painting here. And we'll see what he looks like. All right, and that's pretty much the finished look. I'm going to do one more thing with the eyes, but I painted a little bit of red on the teeth, so it looks like blood, you know, because he's a Halloween thing. And he's got his grass and his armpit hair. Teeth has his blood on it. And probably going to put a couple of little yellow circles around his eyes. And that's pretty much how I make a haunted tree, guys. I hope this video was informative and you liked it. I will see you in the next video.